Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. So I just wanted to do a quick intro for this video series, which is going to be about me doing a pretty big remodel on this workshop here. So this is a detached garage, and it needed a lot of structural and visual fixes, and it had a lot of problems. We'll just say that, and you'll see that along the way. But I just wanted to quickly go over a few things like building codes, and they're different in every area. So where I'm at is going to be different from where you're at, and so don't take this as instructional or how to. It's more of entertainment purposes, and maybe it'll give you an idea of what what you should do for your situation, but just don't take this as verbatim this is exactly what you should do. That's all I'm saying, because like I said, city to city really codes can change and vary, and so where I'm at is going to be completely different where you're at. And this is also a detached garage. It's not even attached to the living structure, so the codes are going to be different there too. They're not going to be as strict because of that. Having said that, I did try to go with pretty close to residential code when I rebuilt this place. So quick introduction is this place had no sheathing on it. I'm in a hurricane zone. This place had no sheathing on the outside, and now you can see I've got sheathing on the outside. That's the sheathing right there, OSB. And it had a lot of issues. There was structural damage, and all that was repaired along the way. But just to go over some of the fasteners and things I've used. So for the sheathing, 1 3/4, all these are galvanized. Anytime you're working with exterior, every single thing needs to be galvanized. But that's obvious. So this is 1 3/4 to attach the sheathing is what I used, and I went to 2 3/8 inch. And notice the nail size too, the 0.092, and then you want to go up to a little bit bigger nail size, 0.113. So this is coil nailer, and this is going to be your standard framing nailer to shoot these two in. And so 113, 2 3/8 inch for the siding. It's 3/8 inch siding, and then 3 inch 131 is what I used for the trim, which is going to be 3/4 inch thick trim that goes around. And so that trim also helps hold the siding on in high winds. And so you want to make sure you've got plenty of fastener into the studs to hold that stuff on. And how they had done this building was just ridiculous. Like, I'm talking, this place was extremely dangerous. I'm honestly surprised it did not just get flattened over in any of the previous hurricanes. I don't know when they put this new siding on. It was probably within the last 10 years, and we haven't had a major hurricane here since then. But if we had, this place would have been completely flattened over, because your sheathing helps keep it from being just pushed over by the wind, because you can have attachment anchors to the ground or to the concrete everywhere. It doesn't matter if your building gets pushed over by winds. So that's what the sheathing prevents, and so helps prevent, I should say. So they only had 3/8 inch siding preventing that from happening, which is not good. And the fasteners that they had in that siding was tiny hand nails. I go through some of it on during this video on showing you some of the nails that they use on this place. It's stupid. They're using like finish nails, like teeny tiny, like this kind of stuff. And smaller, not smaller than that, but smaller than what you're supposed to have. We'll just say that. So at any rate, continuing on, so for roofing, for the flashing, 1 inch is good. And then I used for the metal roofing, 1 inch and 1.5 inch, depending on some of the spots I needed 1.5 inch in. So that's, and for fastening the hurricane ties, I used 3 inch 10D nails for the truss ties that went into the wall. And then for everything else, I basically used these, which are structural tie screws, and these go in, you know, they're pretty easy to put into those ties, and these are the exact ties here that I used for my trusses on the outside wall of the lean-to that I added. These also were for attaching the posts to the metal brackets that I attached to the concrete. So these are pretty good, these screws, and they've also got these same kind of screws you can use instead of these nails. I just opted to use the nails. It's either or. Just make sure, you know, you're not going to use deck screws in place of these. Like, these are structural. Deck screws do not replace these, so just keep that in mind. These are the ones you have to get if you're going to use screws for ties. And then for the I attached posts to concrete. I don't have any of those left, but I used half inch by 3-inch Tapcons, and so for that, and with a big galvanized washer, and that's pretty straightforward. And then I used these for any spots that needed the bottom plate, you know, reinforced. So you're going through the bottom plate into the concrete with these, and then also galvanized washers. I don't know where those are at right now for these, but that's what you do. And then for attaching the ledger board to the wall when I made the lean-to, is I use these 1/4 inch by 3.5 inch galvanized lag screws, also with washers, galvanized washers. I mean, pretty much when you're doing any of this kind of stuff, you want washers. You don't want to just rely on that small amount of head there to hold. I mean, that's not gonna be good enough. So and then for the house wrap, we use the roofing, you know, your standard orange roofing nails for that. And then, you know, siding caulk, I use this stuff. This is really, really good, and that's what I use for all the caulk, really. Siding, trim, everything, just got this stuff. It's expensive, but it's really good stuff, so that's just what I went with. And then paint, exterior grade Bear Ultra. I got some more there. So yeah, that's just a quick overview of some of the stuff I used. I mean, there's a lot more that I used in this project than just that. I mean, we've got some of this kind of stuff, concrete crack filler, all kinds of stuff, but I just wanted to give a brief overview of that, and just again reiterate that, you know, building codes vary city to city, state to state, you know, area to area. So what I do here, you know, may not be necessarily what you need to do there, or even, you know, how I do something, you may do something differently, or you may say you would have done something differently. It is what it is. I did it the way I did it, and this place is far beyond better than how I started. Way safer, way nicer. It looks a whole lot better, and it is a whole lot better. So just keep that in mind. I mean, I don't mind if you've got constructive feedback, that's fine. Put it in the comments below. I'd love it. But just, you know, keep that in mind. This is not a structure that I'm living in. This is a detached garage, and so, you know, I did things a certain way. You may want to do them a different way. Cool. Awesome. And other than that, I hope you enjoy the video series. So with that, I'll get you started. Hey, so we're going to do a video blog of this workshop behind me. Have a lot of work to do. We're going to go around and explain what's happening right now. But there's a ton of work that's going to be happening over the next few weeks. So let's get it turned around. And so what the problem is that all this siding is bad. I don't know if it's original to this or not, but at any rate, it's leaking. It rains here all the time. In fact, the past 3 weeks it's rained every single day. So we get lots of rain, and whenever you've got siding getting wet every day, it rots. And this has been an ongoing issue since I bought the house. And so we've got issues like this where there's rain getting down in between there, and you know, I've caulked this over time, but I've caulked this several times and it just reopens because of how rotten the wood is already. and the siding's got issues everywhere where it's leaking and getting inside, and we'll show that here in a minute. But it's causing big issues, and it's gonna cause structural damage if it hasn't already, and so I need to get this fixed. So it's just gonna be a ton of work. And so here we can see, like, this is completely useless, rotted. This trim, I'm not sure about the siding on the front. It actually seems okay, but it's this side, the opposite side, and the back is all bad. And I've got to repaint soffit. The idiots that had this house and flipped it, they painted using interior paint, so it's just all flaking off now and exposing the wood. So that's all got to get sanded and repainted. And then I'm going to add gutters, which they're right there. I'm going to add a gutter on this side here because currently it just drips down and then it splatters all over the wall, all over the door. Let me show you the door really quick. This door has to be replaced because it's completely rotted out. It's ruined. Bottom 6 inches are just gone. Hear that? It's gone all the way through. Let's show you here. If you can see that, it's a little dark in there, but yep, so that's got to be replaced as well. Let's show you a few of these spots where they did some kind of patchwork. I don't know what this is. I don't know. They puttied it with something in several spots, and that's all cracking apart and causing water intrusion here, and there's many spots where I saw on the inside where you couldn't even tell. There's a spot right here where you can't even really tell, but it's barely tell that it's split right there. Yeah, I can push my finger into that because that's rotten. That's a really bad spot on the inside, which I'll show you in a minute. That's been leaking and constantly. And then of course this whole board, trim board, is basically separated everywhere along the bottom. See this? So that's water intrusion pretty much the entire length of this because of that caulk. And like I said, I've recaulked it over the years, but because of how bad this is, how rotten it is already when I got the house, it swells and expands and contracts, and that caulk is just split open, so it's useless after a year or so. I'm gonna move around to the back, and the back is a big issue as well because we've got this concrete slab here, and I try to keep this channel cleaned out as much as possible, and that helps it tremendously, but the splatter in here will also cause issues. So we've got this, which is completely rotted out. You can see that easily. I mean, that's rotted out. That whole bottom strip that they've replaced already once is probably all rotted out. The stuff above this point might be okay. I'm planning on still replacing all that, but we'll see whenever we get here. I don't know how bad all that's going to be. I know the whole bottom strip is gone, obviously. So this is one of those projects where, you know, not 100% sure on what all it's going to involve until you start getting into it. So all this trim is going to be replaced, like that trim and the trim underneath the soffit, all going to be replaced as well when I do all this. So I'll go around to the other side. And this side is not much better. Luckily this side, because it drips so far down and we're quite a ways away from that drip, I'm not going to put gutters on this side, at least not initially. I don't think it's going to be an issue on this side, and this side's not, yeah, it's not even wet. We just had a really bad rainstorm, so it's not even wet up here. So it's not, I don't think it's an issue on this side, but this siding is still jacked up because whenever we get, if it rains hard and the wind is blowing, it'll get on this side. And like I said, luckily this side doesn't get as wet as that opposite side over there, but this side is bad. You can see that's a crack, and that goes up pretty far. There's another one. Yep, here it is. There's a crack. Again, it's like half the length up. And as we get further to this side, it gets much worse. This is where I repainted, where they had a bunch of where the paint was gone because it had rotted out so bad. Like you can see this is a rot spot, completely rotted out, and this is a crack here. And again, I have done the best I could over the past several years to keep this, you know, as good as possible. But the way this was done, by the previous flipper owner or whatever wasn't right. So all of this entire side, I plan on replacing all this paneling as well. I mean, especially this part. This part's too far gone, and really the rest of this is pretty far gone anyways. The second issue, and the reason why I'm replacing all this, is because I'm probably not doing much with the front. The front's pretty good, but we'll see. But all three other sides are getting done, and the other reason is because when they redid this at whenever point, turn on some lights. This is that siding that I'm touching right here, and you can see, hopefully, this is 3/8 inch siding. This is the wood trim that goes around the door right here, and this is a 2x4. So what's missing here is sheathing. There's no sheathing on this place, not in a single spot. No sheathing. That's a major issue as well. So all that is going to be removed. I'm going to put sheathing on it, I'm going to put vapor barrier on it, then I'm going to put siding on it, and then trim, and of course paint. Exterior paint, not interior paint. And well, I've kind of blocked myself off right now, but we can kind of get in and see that, especially that area right there. That's that crack that I showed you on the outside that you could barely even tell was a crack. The really bad areas that you could tell were from the outside were bad are over there, and it looks bad, but it doesn't look as bad as that one. That one's really bad. And so how I mean, I knew that it was a small issue. I didn't know it was such a big issue, and the reason is this was all covered in stuff. I've been remodeling my workshop. This is my workshop, and we'll show you the inside really quick, and this will give you an idea of why it was, you know, unseen, because I have sheathed the inside with sheathing because I put insulation in these walls, so you can't really see that in any of this spot. None of that's seen. And luckily, like I said, that side is not really getting water intrusion too bad, if at all. It may be a small amount. This side's really bad, and luckily this side is the side that I didn't have sheathing right here, because I had well, I just had no reason to put sheathing on here because this is not conditioned, and there's conditioned, so it's got insulation in the walls. But I had stuff stacked against this wall. I had shelves up here, coolers, all kinds of stuff, so it was just kind of partially hidden. And so I've been in the middle of trying to remodel the inside of my workshop, building, you know, like this. Started building some new shelving, and I was going to start building cabinets, whatnot. And I pulled out everything from this wall and got to looking at it, and I'm like, this is not good. This has got to be addressed, because there's no point in me doing all this nice stuff inside whenever the structure is getting ruined, framework. So we've got to take care of that. And then that's when I noticed, because I never really thought about it before, never really paid that much attention, but that's whenever I noticed, when I was starting to, you know, look into all this, I was like, this place has no sheathing. Like, it's not too uncommon to not see it's not uncommon to see no vapor barrier on a garage, exterior garage, but like when I noticed that there's no sheathing on this, and all that's holding this stick frame together is 3/8 inch siding, that's a big issue. We get hurricanes here, and that's a problem. So luckily, I mean, I've added structure inside. Like, this whole wall is 16 foot 4 inches. This wall here, 2x4 wall that I framed in, and then of course this wall as well. So that's adding quite a bit of rigidity to it, so that's helping. And then of course all the sheathing will help a little bit on the inside, but we need that sheathing on the outside too. So at any rate, that is the introduction to this major project ordeal. And I've got a bunch of my stuff here that's going to be starting the project. It rains here so much, though, it's been delaying. I can't get started on stuff, but hopefully soon I can get started. But yeah, so that's basically just outlining the start. And where I want to start is I want to start right here and get that fascia, or that fascia sanded and then repainted. I've got my paint actually right here. So we've got a gray, shark fin gray, and we've got our good exterior semi-gloss that we're gonna put on there, Bear Ultra. So you want some good paint. I mean, you don't want to spend thousands of dollars on sheathing, vapor barrier, siding, and not put good paint on it, because then you're just gonna ruin it. So spend a little extra, get that $60. I'm gonna get that's $60 for that 1 gallon, and that's gonna be just for the trim. And then I'm gonna get a 5 gallon, which is $240, and that'll be for the siding. So, but yeah, what I want to get started on is sanding, and then painting, maybe caulking if it needs it. Quick update on the progress. So last you saw it, I was sanding. I got all the sanding done, and then I caulked everything with the high quality exterior caulk. And I guess before that, some of the nails need to be hammered in a little bit further, so I did that. Then I caulked everything, all the cracks and corners and everything that needed it. And I've got 2 coats. I just finished putting the second coat of this gray on. It's called shark fin gray. So that's on there, and that should be it. It shouldn't need a 3rd coat. It's looking pretty good. So I got it on the face and on the bottom edge. Both of those were sanded down. So that's looking really good. And we're gonna be putting gutters up at some point. I don't know if that's happening next, possibly not. I might get started on, depending on how the weather looks tomorrow. I mean, we still got rain every day here lately, but I've been kind of doing this in between the rain. Hopefully tomorrow, if the weather's good, I plan on starting the siding, and I'm gonna start by ripping this trim off. And we've got this to deal with, where this wire comes in, and there's a bunch of water damage in there because water intrusion, because this was never sealed. So that I'm going to take care of whenever I put the new walls up. It's going to be sealed properly, and I'm going to probably take about half of that trim off of that run, and then maybe the first 2 sheets here, because I've got to get a new door put in. The rough opening needs to be fixed, because how they did it was they just put a door. They put a bunch of plywood and scabs of 2x4s in here with plywood in between to kind of make it to where this door, they could just attach the hinges to it and it would sort of work. It's not a proper door, and I'm going to be removing all that crap, and I'm going to be adding in new 2x4s for the rough opening. And then we're going to put a pre-hung door in here, fiberglass door. So we're going to have a proper door, a good door. No window, because I don't need a window, and it costs more money to have a window. So no window on the new door. So that's that, and the wire, like I said, the wire has to be taken care of as well. That's going to take a lot of time, kind of getting all that stuff squared away. So that's why I'm only going to probably rip off about half of this, and we'll see how far I get. But I imagine that's going to be a full day right there, just dealing with this door fixing and that wire fixing. The other thing I got done today was this outlet. This is a nice proper outlet for an exterior now. What they had here before was old and rusted, and it was an interior outlet with like the the little doors for each outlet, like, you know, you swing the door open, and not proper, because it was just a, like I said, it was just a regular interior outlet. So not correct. I just did this today, and I put exterior grade caulk on the seal against the wood and on top here, so this is going to be completely good to go, and you know, way better than what it was before. The other problem too was they didn't have it mounted properly. There's no stud here. There's a stud here and a stud here. Where this is at, there's no stud, and so they've got the right box to where the box is supposed to screw into this wall, into the wood paneling. But the problem is, because they don't have sheathing, there was nothing to really screw into. They couldn't really screw into this, which is siding, so that it wasn't even mounted either. So it was hanging in there, but every time we plug something in or pull something out, it would just move the whole outlet. So the seal around the outlet was gone, and water was getting back there. So now we've got a completely proper GFCI outlet, and a pretty good, you know, I did what I could to kind of get this, you know, I'm not sure if you can see if it's dark in here or not, but I did what I could to get this kind of semi-proper. So I cut a hole in a piece of 1/2-inch plywood, and I mounted it to that, and then I kind of stuck it there, and I put this 2x4 across and toe-nailed it in. So that's holding it in. It's mounted to this, so anytime you pull something out, it's super solid. Anytime you push it in, it's super solid. So 10 times better than it was before, that's for sure. And it's, like I said, it's a proper outlet. And anyways, that is where we are, all caught up. And like I said, tomorrow, if the weather holds up, I would like to get this whole situation fixed. New door, wire properly installed with caulk around it, and sealed from the inside as well. So we will see. I'll bring you back once I have more updates to show you. So today is a big day. As you can see behind me, I got the gutters up. There's no downspouts yet because all the siding has to be removed and new siding put on. And that's what, well, I'm gonna start today. I'll take you over here. Just got back from the store. Got some OSB, which is gonna be the sheathing, and new door, a couple 2x4s, some flashing, and some caulk, and a few miscellaneous in there. So I'm about to get this unloaded and get started tearing off some of this paneling on the side. Start with the trim and remove everything around the door, because I want to get the door done first. So this trim piece up there, all the trim around the door, and then this first sheet or two are going to come off here shortly. So let me get started unloading, and then I can get into this. So the door area is done as far as the sheathing goes, and I was ripping all this off so I could start, because this part will be quicker. Those I had to cut out and measure and all that. These would be quicker because they'd be up, you know, just put them up. So I was ripping all the sheathing off of here, and this starting to get really difficult over here, and most of this looks okay. It's a little wet, but it's solid enough. And then I cut down here and we see termite damage. I don't know how extensive it is. I don't see any live ones, luckily. This whole stud is gone in this corner, and that stud is gone right there. That one's fine. So there's no telling how much of this wall is gone going that way. I was not planning on ripping into this part for a while because this is enough work as it is. Oh, so I'm not sure, but they went all the way up, so as usual. So you can see the termite signs all the way up. So I do not know how bad it is, and I haven't seen any issues. It's hard to see until it gets really bad, but I can see into the rafters from in here. I just have to get my ladder out and crawl up there. I can't see anything from this side, so hopefully it's nothing too major. I'm gonna have to replace both of these studs, and by the looks of it, possible, or actually 3, because there's another one there, and who knows how many on this back wall. This back wall was also pretty bad as far as water damage happening. I don't know which was worse, this wall or this wall. They were both pretty bad. So, well, like I said, you can't know until you start tearing into it. So yeah, I'm gonna start picking out way at this. I might go ahead and throw a few more sheets on. What I can do is I can go ahead and get some Tyvek at least halfway up. Here comes the plane, of course. So I can get a few more sheets up, because all this is good. At least probably 3 more sheets worth over there, and then I can get Tyvek covering all that. I was wanting to do a full run of Tyvek, but with the way this corner is, I don't know how long this is going to take to deal with. So I'm going to get Tyvek run. We'll just overlap by 12 inches and they'll be fine on those, and tape it. I've got tape in here because I knew I would need to tape something. Here it is. So I got my Tyvek tape. So at any rate, I'm going to get started, probably throwing 3 more sheets on. I got the corner taken apart. This outside 2x4 is gone. Pretty bad. The inside one is halfway solid right there. Half of it's gone, half of it, you know. So the bottom plate got nibbled on, but it looks okay. These studs look okay. They got a tiny bit of nibble on them, but nothing too bad. So of course the rot damage, you know, that I already knew about. It's why this is happening. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tear this out. This piece and this outside piece are getting torn out. This is going to get left in, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to stack 2 treated 2x4s right here in this corner. Stack them there, and then I'm going to stack some. There's a little bit of probably rot. I don't think this is termite damage on these, so I'm going to put some cripples in here to kind of solidify this up, at least on around those 2. And this corner should be good once I get those treated 2x4s in there. So I'm going to do that now once I get this torn out. Alright, 2 2x4s treated, and I wanted treated here because this is obviously a problem corner. This is a very this is a sloped yard, and so it's actually higher grade over there, and the water comes down this way. So I can understand why this would be a problem corner, because I actually dug this ditch years ago when I first moved in, because the ground was this high. I mean, it was over the siding in this spot until I did that. So treated will help preserve this corner. If it does, I may go ahead and continue this ditch further in the future, but putting that ditch there helped tremendously. So at any rate, treated in this corner is going to help a lot for preventing anything in the future. So I'm just going to put a few cripples here underneath this power line, just to help sturdy up these studs, and then I'm slapping 2 more sheets of OSB on this side, and then I'm gonna see if I can fit one on that side without pulling off anymore. That's the end of a very long, very hard day. So I've got the Tyvek kind of there. It's bare minimum, just to make sure it doesn't fly off. I got the whole top nailed, and some spots in the middle. The whole side, each corner is all the way down, and then a few spots in the middle. Some stuff leaning against it. It hasn't been too windy here lately, so it should be fine overnight. And I got to the point where I was going to put this piece of paneling on, this OSB, and then it just wasn't going to fit because of the way they did this wall was stupid. Basically, they had the plywood. It's not even plywood, it's particle board junk all the way on against the concrete. So I went to put a space there, because I always space my siding above the concrete. You're not supposed to put it all directly on it. So I had a piece of wood that I had down there, spacing it up, and then see, there's this other piece of trim, or not trim, siding. It wouldn't fit there, so either I would have to cut the OSB or rip that off and do that too. So at that point, I mean, I'm exhausted. It's been a very long, extremely hot day, so I just called it there. As far as OSB goes, this whole side is done, sheathing wise, and like I said, I've got the Tyvek protecting it in case it rains. Luckily it hasn't today. So, and then I just put a piece of the old particle board siding up to kind of protect that, because there's insulation there, and you know, bare wall right now. So, and you know, covered the Tyvek over for now. So that is all I'm doing today, which is a lot. We've got the door frame roughed in and good to go. We fixed all that corner back there and added a bunch of support. So it was extremely busy and tough day with all this going on. So at any rate, calling it for today, and I will bring you back tomorrow.